Sorry, I'm starting a meeting here in a minute with our capital improvements committee. That's okay. No, you keep talking. No. Correct. It's his own problem. And then we have an issue that the house, remember I told you the house was a fourplex? And, thank you, Crystal. So here is the session. This is a public meeting.
People, how do you spell your last name again?
McKeon. Who's the other gentleman? His name Richard?
Randy Hiller,
Randy
Wyatt Lee, and Leroy Johnson. And then I will get you guys a folder where all of our minutes and all of our stuff will go in there.
Okay.
It's a share folder, so I'll send you guys a link with a password that you guys can look at it like anywhere.
Okay.
And then you guys can look at everything that's in there. Did you find it for people?
Leroy's here, why it's not.
You might need to keep your jacket on.
No,
This is
You're
right by the
the-
heater.
We're right by the heater.
I'll trade you if you want.
No,
I'm
perfectly
I've
comfortable.
been standing out there in the sun and it's actually fairly nice.
I was just texting you saying we're upstairs.
Randy Hill.
How you doing?
Wiley.
Leroy, how you doing?
Doing good.
So is Paul here?
No, I think he's on.
Paul will be on. Yeah, it's on my phone.
Hi,
Chris needed to sign. Put it on your desk.
That who?
Not Chris, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the item is that
Paul, how are you feeling?
Doesn't sound good.
There's something going around, that's for sure.
Is Bert in Alaska?
No.
Is he home? Someone told me he was up there building a cabin.
No, we bought a cabin,
Oh, you like that?
but he spent like 3 months in the summer.
Okay.
Lucky for him, he's not up there right now because they've gotten so much snow.
What part of
We
Alaska?
have about 4 feet of snow. Sterling, it's on the Kenai Peninsula by Soldotna. Kenai.
That's where your daughter lives. Isn't it?
She lives in Soldotna. Now the cabin's about 15. So I went up there for about 3 weeks this summer and Bert spent about 3 months.
He was in second half.
He loves it. It's great. I mean, it's a beautiful place in the
Oh, yeah,
summer.
in the
and the
summer,
winter. Their kids sent us the pictures and the snow was above their deck
Oh, really?
and they were going to get another couple of feet.
So they just hibernate.
So they try to get out. Their kids are like total Alaska Eskimo type kids. They just.
Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah, everyone that I've known that lives up there, they love the outdoors.
Leroy,
Cold or whatever.
I was gonna let you go ahead and start the meeting. I'm on the phone with Keith about something, but I don't want to hold up with Paul explaining what's going on. So if,
Paul, did you hear the mayor?
did you hear what I said?
Yes, but I can't talk.
Yes, I understand.
Oh,
You can,
oh, that's,
so I know he's got laryngitis.
oh,
So
sorry about that.
I wanted to, I attached the cover memo concerning the adoption of the CIP resolution. That's this memo. So if you would go ahead and start this meeting while I finish up with Keith. This is important.
The main part of the meeting was Paul. to
I know,
explain
but
what we
he
do.
can't, I know. And so he wrote out stuff for us to read it out loud so that we will know what's going on. I did not want to delay this meeting.
And so that's.
That's this, yeah. So if you would, so I'm gonna have him go ahead and read your memo. Is that what you want to happen, Paul?
I
Thumbs up.
Just thumbs up if you want him to read your memo.
which memo? I assume everybody's read it, right?
You wrote this one, July 27th, 2022, Virgin's Capital Improvement Program Policies. Is that what you want us to read?
Uh, fir- First question
I know.
by Mayor. You can go, Mayor.
Say what? Do you want us to read this memo? The July 27th memo that you emailed to me this morning or yesterday?
If you haven't read it,
Well, the new people have, the
I
Randy
read
and
it.
Wyatt, well, you did this morning because you came by and I gave it to you. Wyatt and April have not read it.
have they read the policy?
Got this.
That's the thing that says Town of Virgin's Capital Improvement Program.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to start off with discussing that. Okay, all right. I have got to go finish this conversation with Keith. It's very important.
Leroy, do you want to call to order?
Yeah, call the meeting to order like a usual meeting.
Okay, would like to call the meeting to order.
Three on there.
It's 10 minutes after 3. And I don't know exactly which one of these, Paul, you want us to read. I guess
Can you hear me?
it's this first one that starts out with a memorandum from you and I to the mayor and the town council.
Well, my first question is, have you all read any of it? I know Randy has.
Yeah, and then the second page of that talks about the purpose and so forth about the policy.
It was just handed to me today.
Yeah.
I haven't read it at
I
all.
saw it 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I've read the entire thing.
Do you guys
But
want
I
to
see
go
where
over it
it is.
then and read it?
You want to read it for us?
No. But, I feel like someone, I'm doing minutes.
Okay.
Just, you guys can just read it within yourself. You can just don't need to read it out loud. We'll take a moment.
So I have a question right off. Maybe
Okay.
if someone knows the answer. It was written July 27th. And at the time that this was written, he hadn't commented yet. Has he since commented on this?
That I don't know.
Okay.
This was presented to me. He was at the meeting where it was adopted.
Oh, okay.
So he's aware of it.
Oh.
But I don't remember him making any comments, whether it's about it at all.
Okay.
Really, all we're here for is for you guys to understand what the capital improvements committee was supposed to do.
Okay.
And then once we understand it, then we start having meetings and start actually doing it. You start down there, it says phase 1 needs assessment phase. Identify, review, and update inventory of all capital assets.
Has that been done?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's what we will do.
Okay.
Staff, council, planning, and zoning board members, town engineer, and town accountants submit capital improvement request. After a published notice, citizens and business owners can also submit capital improvement requests.
Is he trying to say something?
No.
So would this be starting like at the first of next year,
We hope so,
January?
yeah.
Okay.
And so what happens when they make these requests, then it comes to the committee for us to assess,
Mhm.
Whether it's a good request, whether it's the best thing for the town, and if we have funds to.
And it gets ranked in matter of importance. correct?
Right, correct.
Now, doesn't the town already have kind of a list of, a want list?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not part of this?
No, what Paul wanted to do was to get together and have a formal committee made up of the citizens.
Mhm.
And that's what we have, 3 of you in here.
Okay,
Okay. Then you can find out from your constituents, what we feel is best for the town.
Are we allowed any input on those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we can put in that we think this needs to be done on a certain project.
oh, is this separate from what the town already has a list of what they want to do, or is it up there? Will it become a- Say the town wants a new truck, for example,
Yeah,
would that be something that would be involved with this assessment?
I think.
Yes, Paul
Okay.
says yes. So
Yeah.
he's typing. I'm gonna read what he
Okay.
types.
Yeah.
He wants to make sure that everybody has read the policy, so take some time to read that policy and
Okay.
he will answer any questions. I'll read what he has.
Mhm.
He'll type it in that you guys have. So if you have a question, answer it, he'll type it and I'll read it.
Okay. Or Paul with his laryngitis, that would be
Yeah.
awful.
and then you notice,
Make sure you guys are talking loud because he's.
Okay.
notice step 2 talks about the analyst, where the committee reviews and evaluates the capital project request. And then prioritizes the request using rating.
Yeah,
In
that's on the back of this.
Policy gives a rating system.
So would we be reviewing these like every month or something like that? Would that be a monthly meeting?
That I don't know.
Okay,
It's up to
I would
you.
assume that would be up to the committee to decide.
It's up to the committee. I think the first step is to set a deadline to get the request forms in and get those request forms out to the public and to all the town officials, so you can start to get in projects suggested.
and have like a deadline for that or something?
Yes.
Yeah, and you will need to set the deadline.
Okay.
And then, phase 3 would be creating multi-year capital improvement plan. That the committee would recommend this 5-year plan. Capital improvements, to the town council. And it doesn't mean that, we decided in year 3, we need to replace the truck. It doesn't mean we have to do it.
Mhm.
It's just planning it.
Right.
Yeah, truck could get totaled. You have to
Yeah.
move it up.
Right, and there might be something else that comes up more
Mhm.
important, and we just repair the truck and get whatever that is.
Yeah, it's a evolving
Right.
piece of paper.
But at least we're planning for the
Yeah, you're setting,
setting.
people know where you're gonna spend the money.
Right, and that's the main thing, then the public knows what's going
Exactly.
on. Yeah, they know, where now there's never been a way for the public to know what the town wants to do. Goes back, to your question.
Mhm. Or maybe the town doesn't know what the public would like to see done.
Right,
Okay.
And some of the new people don't even know what we have.
right.
So on this phase, step 4, so the budget, when is the budget done? So all that would have to be before the budget
Yeah.
process, right?
The budget process starts in March,
Starts in March.
and it has to be completed and approved by the council in May.
Oh,
And then it's submitted to the state, it has to go into the state by the 31st of May.
so is this process that we're doing would be involved with this year's budget then?
Yeah, with the coming,
2023?
Yeah.
Okay,
so that'll be 2023 and 24.
okay.
The year end is June 30th,
Got it.
So you're not a calendar year physically.
physical year.
June 30th, you said? Okay.
Has he typed anything else?
Once all the project request forms are submitted, the BCIP ranks them using the criteria in the policy. Then
Oh, he's got a schedule in there, I see.
So this is the whole policy, right?
Right.
Okay. When the projects are in place in these summary forms, after the VCIP goes through this process this year, I'm sure they will have recommendations on changes to the criteria, which we can amend for the next year. Nothing precludes the VCIP from moving a project up on the plan, even though the numbers don't support it. It is up to the town council to adopt the plan and propose the town council can amend the plan. The VCIP should establish a deadline for submitting these forms. The forms should be distributed to the mayor, town council, and planning and zoning commission, town accountant, town engineer, and have them submit requests for the capital improvements. Also, a notice with the deadline should be published on the town website and public notice website with the form so citizens and businesses can submit CIP requests or project request forms.
Well, so if, if the budget process begins in March, you would want to have all those forms returned by March.
Well, you probably want them ahead of March.
Probably want them like the end
But-
of January.
Yeah,
Yeah, you want them January,
Well-
February for us to look at and then prioritize it.
so you would have to send them out right away,
Right away.
and you would do that? Thanks.
That's just one more thing on her table.
Well, I mean, if to put it on the website, isn't that difficult, I guess collecting them and then you know,
Answering
you work
questions.
with all the planning and zoning people, so that's not too.
She normally sends a lot of those things out. She has an email list.
Paul says, as to the deadline, it will depend on Leroy and your budget schedule. This step was supposed to take place in November,
Oh,
but we didn't have a committee yet. The
Is-
review and ranking of the submitted forms was to occur in January, then
Oh.
submit the proposed 5-year plan in February.
Hmm.
My suggestion is to set the submission deadline in January and then compress and review, press the review and submittal in February, or extend it into March if needed.
What are we looking at? Are we on here?
basically, we've just gone through the memorandum and
Okay.
we've been asking questions.
Okay,
And right now, we're basically talking about the deadline
Okay.
to send out these forms, which I agree with him that we should send those out in as soon as possible, I suspect. And then.
So
we
you're
can
gonna
have a
send out a
meeting.
form, but will they list the assets? How will the town people know what?
where is this thing where you're talking about with a deadline?
So, right here. Well,
See what I mean?
it doesn't really.
It would, it would be the things that the town wants to see us do. What it would be.
So if somebody needs a street overlaid, they would say overlay Porterville Road or fix the potholes or fix its drainage. I think that's what you're gonna get from the public. And then that would be up to the committee to try to fill in the rest of the missing details.
So we're gonna get things that the public sees that they feel needs to be fixed.
Right.
And we've had a
Yeah.
capital improvements plan. We have 5-year capital improvement plan, 1-year capital improvement plan. It's downstairs in the filing cabinet for that. But we're supposed to update it every year because the 1 year, hopefully, whatever's on your 1-year capital improvements plan you've done, so that the next year you can move up from the 5-year plan
Right.
into the
Yeah, I
1 year.
understand.
That, yeah.
Mhm.
And so,
Yeah, the problem before with the capital improvements plan, it's been put together because the state requires it, and then it sits in a drawer.
and we never do anything with it.
And so with the capital improvements committee, then something will be done.
And that's the goal.
That's the goal, yeah.
So can we all, as members of the committee, get a copy of what has been looked at?
For the capital improvements plan that
Yeah.
hasn't been touched in years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that worthwhile looking at, or should we just-
No, yeah,
Start from
I would say
scratch,
it's
or-
worthwhile.
Okay.
I'll go get it. It should be in that, which filing cabinet?
Good luck on finding it.
Oh, I found it once before.
Well, maybe you could look for it and you could send it, email it.
Yeah,
to
I
us.
can scan it, email it to you.
Okay. It might just be helpful so we know kind of what.
Some of it'll be, for example, like, we know that these roads here in this old part of town need to be replaced,
Mhm,
and so do the water pipes.
mhm.
And that, I know that's on the 5-year capital improvement plan, is that we would really like to be able to redo the roads and the water pipes all in this section of town.
Be cheaper just to do it all at once.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
It's
yeah, you
cheaper
gotta
to
have to
do
do
it
the
all
same
at
thing,
once.
yeah.
And so we will probably have to apply for a grant and money like, or a loan or something.
Mhm.
But it's that kind of thing that I
Okay.
know. For example, I know at one point what was on there was to replace also this culvert that goes underneath the road that goes into Rio de Janeiro, the one that causes the flooding by my house.
Mhm.
That there was
this was back when I was on town council, that was on the capital improvements list.
Mhm.
And you just look all around town where there are things that need to be done.
Right,
Plus you get public input.
okay.
And it also includes the purchase of vehicles. So any vehicles purchased,
Okay,
uh,
because I want to replace that little red truck that is in
Yeah,
such
that would
bad
be-
shape.
that would repair to the buildings. Anything over 3,000 and a useful life for what, 3 years?
Okay.
So would the mayor, for example, because you would like to see that truck replaced,
Mhm.
you would have to fill out this form.
Right.
Okay. So we need
And
to
and
fill
that
out,
form would be submitted to the committee.
Right, so we'll have like a file with all the forms that have been submitted,
Mhm.
and then it will be presented, the committee will review that and rank them according to this ranking system.
yes.
And then we will make decisions, and then I guess that has to go back to the council to
for-
take a look at what we suggested, and then they maybe modify it, or,
Yeah.
and then it could go for approval.
And then
based on
every
modification.
January, we have to, I know this may not be what you were hoping for us to talk about today, Paul, but I'll just throw this in there. That every January we fill out, besides the fact that we turn in this list, a 5-year capital improvements plan,
Mhm.
which the 5 County Association of Governments requests every year. They now have this capital asset inventory that we have to fill out, and it's pages long, and it all gets filled out online and then submitted. We hit the submit button and it goes into some big spreadsheet that they have for all the towns in the 5 counties. And they then know what projects we have, what do we need, and they can work on money for us too. And when we go to apply for a grant, we go through them.
And that has to be done in January?
They do that every January. So I know. And so I was just at a meeting with them recently where they're like, okay, you have to start your new capital asset inventory. I'm like, I just did one. And Monica and I just sat down and came up with a rough draft of one, just, it seemed like months ago. And now it's time to do a new one.
Hmm.
But they did say they have our old one on file,
Mhm.
and all we have to do is take that and then just
Update
update it. So I'm like, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Because it was a pain
Mm.
to go through that.
Mhm.
But now that I've done it once, I'm like, okay, I think I got it. I think I understand this. So, okay, what's next?
So with the holidays coming up, is it going to be possible to get these forms out submitted by the end of the year?
You mean this new asset inventory form?
Yes.
No, let me,
It's,
What?
it's the project request submission form, not the asset form.
Yeah.
This one.
This
oh,
one.
these
This one that would
forms.
go out. to-
I see
This
these,
one here.
I see those, just we fill them out throughout the course of the year as we have projects that people see that they.
What they're talking about is to get this in
Are you
before we
guys
get
want-
to the budget process.
Are you guys
Mhm.
wanting it to be sent out to all the residents?
Yes, I think
Because
from
I
what,
can scan it and have it sent out with our water bill.
one of the things Paul had said here is attached to the CIP request forms. The Virgin CIP, this is this memo. It says the VCIP should establish a deadline for submitting these forms. These, it says also, the final sentence, also a notice with the deadline should be published on the town website and the public notice website with the forms. So citizens and businesses can submit, so everybody can submit one of
Right.
these. It's not just us.
Right.
Yeah.
So can
So
that be
you
done
just-
by the end of
Oh,
the year? Is what
I
was
can
asking.
get it sent out by the end of the year. I'll just send it with the water bills, because I'll do the water bills before the end of the year.
and you can tell everybody this will be online and you can find it.
Yeah,
and
we
fill
can,
it
we can
out.
put it in the newsletter. or
But
something,
certainly
but yeah.
nothing is gonna
for
be
sure.
submitted to anybody in the state or the 5
No,
county.
no, I'm just talking about to the committee.
Oh, okay.
So, and then would we want to put a deadline for them to put those
Yeah.
submissions back in, like a month? in
Mhm.
January?
Like this will
January.
need to be
What we just
submitted
talked
by
about.
January 31st to back to
Okay.
the town.
Okay.
And this
That
is,
sounds good.
I see this as then the next time we meet, we'll go over what forms people have submitted with their ideas and what needs to be done.
Right.
And then we'll talk about them and see what we think. Like, I can tell you right now, I'll put on a town truck to replace that little red truck. It can be another small truck, but I think we need another truck because that one's, I rode in it with Max one day to go down to do something. And I was like, are you sure this isn't gonna fall apart on the highway? It was like, oh.
And
man.
it can also be studies. So you can update your impact fee study, which needs to be done.
Yes, okay.
So if we can get the forms back by the end of January, then should we have a meeting like?
First of February.
first-
Somewhere in
first
February
week
or
of
March.
February?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was expecting we would probably meet like 4 times a year. Quarterly, once a quarter is what I was kind of thinking how this would work.
So maybe at first, because we wanted to try to get those in before during the budget process, we might.
Yeah,
Have to do
we
an
might
earlier meeting.
Earlier
Yeah.
meetings and
Yeah, we
then
might
after
meet
that.
more
we can
often
meet.
until we get organized.
Yeah, because this is a new committee.
And the chances of me being here in March are slim.
Oh, okay. Oh, did you tell them you're having knee replacement surgery in March? So
March 6th, I
You
get to
may
walk
be-
again.
you're gonna be like Paul, you're gonna be sitting there in your chair at home committee.
You'll
by
just, you'll be
Zoom.
fine.
You'll be
They just-
So you're replacing the knee or?
The right one and then
I was gonna say,
the way it's going, the left one's gonna go because it's taking all the.
Yeah,
brunt
it's
now.
taking all the brunt.
but I've seen people have it and they're up and walking and everything within a few days.
Yeah, not
Oh,
bad.
they have you walking that
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, so.
They just don't let you drive.
Oh, okay.
Just
Okay,
because you are walking
What,
doesn't mean you
what
want
do
to.
you guys want to set for your February meeting? Do you
We're
want
gonna
to do
set
like,
a date right now? Or-
yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something.
I would say like, give it a little bit of time, because if they mail it in on the 31st, we need some time to get it through the mail forms, so.
Okay, maybe the second week sometime then, let's just look and see. Something
I don't
about
think I
something
have
the
anything on my
14th.
calendar in February, so
Oh,
I'll be
I've
pretty
got some
open.
meetings on the 14th. So the second week of February would be, maybe, is Friday a bad day or a good day for everybody?
As long as it's around this time.
Okay, maybe we'll do
But-
it
but-
February.
Well, what I did with this one, I was hoping that we could do like meetings in the daytime.
Yes,
But I didn't realize that with Wyatt's work, he really needs to have an evening meeting.
oh,
So we will probably, this will probably be our only meeting that's in the daytime.
Why, what time do you get off work?
4:30.
So if we did like a 5 o'clock meeting,
That's fine.
do you guys want to do like the 15th or the 16th?
I can't do that. Well,
Probably more like the 15th.
Because at this point, in February, if I remember right,
I'm at the town council meeting.
Leroy and I are already getting
18th and
together with
22nd.
Candace to start working on proposed budget and looking at all the different items on the budget. So by February, toward the end of February for sure, Leroy and I will have already met with Candace to start.
What about the 10th?
So what about the
9th.
9th, since 10th is a Friday? Is the 9th maybe a good, decent day?
Thursday?
Yeah,
We can do the 9th at 5 o'clock. Does that okay?
Does that work
everybody?
for-
Does that work for you?
Okay.
hopefully that'll give people time and everybody to. get
Did you hear that?
organized.
Well, Paul's not on the committee, but we might have to have a refresher on
The 9th,
The 9th,
the 9th of
At 5
February at
o'clock.
5 o'clock.
he thumbs up.
okay,
Okay, okay.
We can have it right here.
So I mean, I don't know, I think that maybe we should just all take these maybe home and read them. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty detailed.
I
I don't-
agree.
I'd rather
Yeah.
study it than try to look at it and read it real quick.
Yeah, and that's fine, really
I
and
think the
truly.
deadline was the important thing and having the first meeting set up.
Yeah, I just pictured this as a meeting to kind of find out what our goal, what our job is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, I agree.
maybe Paul's gonna do is, maybe you won't have laryngitis on February the 9th, and you can, do a bigger
Shaking
presentation.
his head no with a smile.
I do have a comment. I recall you saying at one of the meetings that we had so much money in the budget, I forget, a million something, or not, maybe not the budget, but in our
It's
It
right,
counts.
excess funds.
excess funds. And then you were talking about there being mostly road projects.
Yeah, the old part of town, we need to replace the
roads,
roads
yeah.
and the water at the same time. Water
So is
system.
that kind of the same? Is that
That would-
basically
That would come to.
would
us.
come in here? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm quite sure that the reason I've worked so hard not to spend that money
Uh-huh.
is that we're gonna need some of it, because they won't give us a grant unless we have some money.
Yeah, we have to have matching funds.
I see.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to keep Matt from doing it, I'm trying to keep.
I
I'm
haven't
trying to keep you from.
I haven't spent
spending it.
any money. I
Yeah.
haven't. I've been
And
very
so
good.
it's there.
Okay.
And the only road project we did that was already budgeted, and that was to replace the road on 700. No, 650.
To replace it or that new road?
It's a new road,
The new road.
the new road.
So, for example, I got a grant to replace the roof on this building and to put heating in it, replace the heating and air conditioning in the entire building.
Right. I remember.
And we had budgeted $21,000 to replace the roof.
Mhm.
And because we had matching funds, I got 50,000 from the state
Okay.
to put toward the new roof and the heating and air conditioning. But if we might have gotten the 50,000 if we didn't have any matching funds, but then we would have only had $50,000. And so we set aside 20 for this. So we now have 71,000. And just about everything, when you apply for any kind of funding,
Mhm.
they want you to have some matching funds.
Mhm.
And so you've got to save so that you can pull out some of that as matching funds for various projects that we apply for money for.
That
Are you
was-
the only grant writer? Who's
At
writing
the time,
grants?
it's me.
So you're the grant
Yeah.
writer?
What?
I was gonna say, at the time, that was really brought home to me when I went in 4 years ago and applied for funds for the new water tank.
Mhm.
And we were towards the end of the agenda, and all these people got up, and then they just raked them over the coals because they're asking for 100% financing. And they had no slush funds. They couldn't prove they had the cash flow to service it. And then when we got up and we said we had 400,000 and financial showed we had the cash flow to make the payments. They didn't even, there was no questions.
They just check mark.
They just checked mark, yes, you have it.
Okay.
And so we have reapplied now for that water tank. We still have that $400,000 set aside for that water tank. And I haven't heard about the
Oh,
application.
the actual, yeah.
It's
I've
been sent.
received a couple of emails with some information that they're asking for. And Candace because Candace was CC'd on the email, and she was able to give them some of the information. And I think I've gone back and looked at it, and I think there's one piece of information that I do not understand what it is they're asking for. I'm like, have we ever had that in our office? And so I have to talk to Monica and see what she knows. Have we ever had this before? And then the meeting where they're going to meet with the state on that is sometime in January.
And the reason we had to reapply was we had to do an environmental study. That was done over 2 years ago. Took the BLM to approve the environmental study. 2
Mhm.
years.
Took them to, yeah. So now we have to start the process
So
all
now we
over.
have to
The
start
money's
the
gone.
process.
Yeah, they were like, oh, you didn't use the money. It's ours again. And so now we have to apply again. And it's gonna be way more expensive to build the road and and the tank, everything, because of what's happened in the past 2 years. Now it's way more expensive to build.
So is this the community impact board that you go to get your money from? state committee?
Not, this one is the
Yes.
Division of Drinking
We
Water.
got drinking water.
Oh,
state
for the-
drinking
for
water
the-
board.
Okay.
For the water, for the water tank, we
Mhm.
go to the Division of Drinking Water.
Okay.
But some of the other projects, like when we go for the roads, that might be CIB. I can tell you, for example, since I sit on the solid waste board, they're completely redesigning the landfill out there.
Mhm.
And they got a huge loan from CIB. And they just got approved maybe 2 months ago. And it's gonna be like a 5-year project for what they're doing out there. But when they get done, they're gonna have a new scale house at the landfill.
Mhm.
And the old scales that they're taking out, I asked if they could bring them and put them in our place in Virgin so that people now won't have to go down to the landfill to drop. And the guy said, that's our plan. I was
Oh,
like,
good.
yes.
Because when I was working on the hospital board in Melford, we went to the community impact board and got like $8 million to build a new hospital, and part it was loans and parts was grant. So those, they do have,
Yeah,
A lot of funding.
but for the water tank, it's
Yeah.
Division of Drinking Water.
right,
So, no, in fact, that 1,200, when you were asking who does grants, and I said, I do,
Mhm.
that is why they bumped up the mayor pay to $200 a month.
Mhm.
That was Candace. She said, if you're gonna be writing grants, she's like, that takes so much work.
Yeah,
She's
it
like,
does.
bump you up
Yeah.
$200
I
because the
could
previous
maybe
mayor
help you
didn't
with
write the
that.
grants.
I've
Okay.
written grants before.
Okay, so, yes, I've written 3 grants so far this year. We got one. So you write a lot
Yes.
to get one.
That's a lot of work. I know. Okay.
Okay, so do we have anything else?
Is there anything else you think we should do today, Paul?
Shaking his head no.
No, okay. Yeah, that.
He gave a thumbs
That
up
was
and
a-
shake his head. That one has a good smile on his face.
Oh, get better, dude. Take some, I don't know what.
Someone wanna close
Salt
the
water, I don't know. That's a tough
Leroy,
one.
since you open the meeting, will you close the meeting, please? And state a time.
I will move we close the meeting and it's at 3:44.
I second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's the shortest meeting in history, I think, isn't it?
Now-
Well,
Now, for your information, Gene is the chairman of the meeting.
Yes.
but I had Leroy do it because I had to finish this phone call. I could not put it off.
Do you want me to? end?
Yes, please.
Bye, Paul.
Bye, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
You, everyone.
We've kind of relied on Paul for this because he was involved in it.